Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel. And wow, just wow, what a Champions League quarter-final night. That's why we love this time of year when it comes to Champions League football. A back-and-forth, ding-dong battle in the Champions League. PSG, in the end, coming out on top. They did lose in the night, 3-2, but held on to win 5-4 on aggregate in the end. It was one of the most entertaining, back and forth, momentum shifting type games. You know, Emery's seen on the ground. You've got Luis Enrique pumping up the fans at full time. Donnarumma saves, Emi Martinez saves, Rashford running amok. You've got the break and Dembele, Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. It was just an absolute top tier football game. And actually saying that no one really was ridiculous, other than Donnarumma and Rashford, no one really stood out that much in this game here. It was just a classic battle of two teams that just wanted to make it to the semi-finals. Villa, obviously in this incredible first season back in Europe, doing their best at home, still yet to lose at home after this one here. And then Paris Saint-Germain, there's a certain momentum behind this team, a certain feel behind this team that we don't often see with this PSG side. Almost reminiscent of some of those Real Madrid teams where they just keep finding a way to getting results, get through ties and make their way deeper in the competition. And in this game, without particularly playing that well, I think Aston Villa probably outplayed PSG on the night, but didn't have enough to get over the line across the two legs. Let's get into the breakdown of this one here. A fantastic start for Aston Villa. They got the corner early on, a flicked on header from Tielemans. Looked like Onana was going to get a tap in towards the back post, but Jean Neves in the end, near the line, flicked that ball away from the oncoming Onana at the back post. A big call for Unai Emery, basically playing 5 midfielders behind Marcus Rashford. So it looked more defensive on paper, but it was a worker-like system that took the midfield quality of Vitinha, Jean Neves, and Fabian Ruiz out of the game. I think that was the plan. Just outwork them in there, create a stronger midfield that is going to make it competitive. And as such, they didn't shine as much as they did in the first leg. Then the big blow came in the 11th minute. Villa did all the attacking work. And in the break, Ashraf Hakimi was able to get onto a bit of a scramble. It was a great counter-attacking move. Barcola, his cross was parried out by Emi Martinez. Bit of confusion between Torres and Martinez. In the end, the keeper just parries it out to a dangerous area. Ashraf Hakimi, who started the counter-attack, ended it off by finding the back of the net, getting on the end of that parried save to make it 1-0 against the run of play. But a perfect start for PSG in the night. They knew they'd have to sit in and absorb some pressure at key moments in time. Their crowd was behind this Aston Villa side, and what they did with their first proper movement forward, they found the back of the net. It was one of the great moves going forward. Cross meant for Dembele, broken up by Martinez, but Hakimi, following the ball in, found the back of the net in the 11th minute. But it'd still be one-way sort of traffic. There'd be odd chance of PSG going the opposite way, but Aston Villa kept their foot on the throttle. Marquinhos had to make a big block to deny Morgan Rogers on the break in the 18th minute. It was funny. PSG continued to leave gaps open, turning the ball over in midfield. They were committing numbers forward, and as such, Aston Villa had their own opportunities to break. It was a classic sort of battle between the two managers. And Luis Enrique came with the mentality of let's win this game as well. And Unai Emery was, well, let's just keep this game as a high intensity, keep it a back and forth type game, make it one of those sort of ping pong battles, and hopefully we can win out in that battle there. So it was really interesting. There was a lot of chances in that first half, and it was played at 110%. It sort of felt like it going back and forth and back and forth. It felt like a tennis match in many regards there. Next up, Torres tested Donnarumma, a half volley. Picked up him at the back post after a poor headed clearance by Vitinha, as Aston Villa continued to put their foot on the throttle. Morgan Rogers put his effort narrowly wide in the 24th minute. Once again, though, it was great movement and build-up. Yuri Tielemans, Jean McGinn, fantastic in the build-up play. Marcus Rashford was having a nearly opening half an hour, getting close to balls. Little threaded through balls in behind, but it just wasn't falling for any Villa players, and Morgan Rogers probably had their most clear-cut chance to that point in time, but he put his left-footed shot just wide of the far post. And with all those attacks, all that front-footed football, it was Nuno Mendes to make it 2-0 to PSG on the night. Sort of knocked Villa for 6 this moment. The crowd went quiet, and the belief sort of dropped in the arena, and it was clear to see another counter-attacking movement in the 28th minute, started by Jean Neves at the back, playing the ball forward to find Hakimi. He squared the ball to Ousmane Dembele, who squared the ball back to the fullback even further. And again, another fullback pushing on to the edge of the area to find the back of the net in a great team move. As I said, It was started all at the back. I think giveaway in the end by Marcus Rashford, one defensively by Marquinhos, then that great outball from João Neves to find Achraf Hakimi, who found Ousmane Dembele, who squared the ball to the oncoming Nuno Mendes, and there was a just one pass, back the net, clinical. And again, the optimal way to play a second leg when you've done the business in the first leg at home. You go away, you've got a 2-goal advantage, just pick your moments and finish them off. And that was a side of a side that can go deep in this competition for me. The way they were able to put away these chances, the way they would dominate when they had the opportunity to go forward, and to give themselves a massive 5-1 lead on aggregate instilled so much confidence in the side and belief that they could go and get this job done, because this is the level that PSG across the last few seasons have failed to get beyond. Or have bottled on key occasions, travelling away to big stadiums, giving up massive leads. Whereas, the classic Barcelona situation, it's almost ingrained in the club. And the Paris side, you often get the itchy bum moments, as we'll get onto later in this video here. But they were able to withstand the Aston Villa pressure and keep their cool, which is most important from this side here. Finally, though, Aston Villa would find their response. The 34th minute, Yuri Tielemans, who was so heavily involved in the first half alongside Jean McGinn, playing in behind Marcus Rashford, found the back of the net. Again, it took a nick off Pacho, but in the build-up, poor giveaway in midfield by PSG. Only had 3 players behind the ball once the turnover occurred. So they were committing numbers forward. They were willing to continue to try and attack and win this game in their own right, which is fair play to Luis Enrique. That was his mentality he gave these players going to this game here. Obviously it worked, but at this moment you thought, why are you going and searching for this game even further? You've got the 5-1 league on aggregate. You're winning here at Villa Park, which no side has done in the Champions League this season, but they continue to go and play. Giveaway allowed Aston Villa to counter-attack. Tielemans' shot took a wicked deflection on the set of Pacho to get them back in this game, and it's probably what they deserved with the amount of chances they had. It became 5-2 in aggregate to keep their slim hopes of a semi-final berth alive. Later in the half, a big moment. Konsa cross deflected and just looped up over the head of Onana, who was seemed to be here, there and everywhere. Again, another nearly first half for him, coming back from injury, put into the lineup to replace Jacob Ramsey to instill a little bit more control in the middle of the park. He was pushing forward then, was at the back post, and if that cross didn't take a deflection from Enzo Konsa, could see Onana at the back post, noting that ball in for a second goal in the 41st minute, but it was not to be, and would go into half-time with the score 2-1 and 5-2 on aggregate in favour of PSG. A lot of work to do, but that goal instilled a bit more belief in this Villa side, and that whole stadium, the whole team was up in fine voice, and they just felt like they'd got an important goal at an important time, Aston Villa, and they continued to come out the second half with that same intensity. Marcus Rashford had the ball forward to his feet in the 52nd minute in a mad scramble there. Somehow Donnarumma made the save yet again with Marquinhos, Pacho, Rashford all in a really close situation. Despite that, Donnarumma again making a big save and a big moment there. However, in the 55th minute, it would finally go Aston Villa's way. Superb hit from John McGinn from long range. We've seen a lot of long range goals at Villa Park this season. He rocketed his shot into the far corner. Donnarumma full stretch, but couldn't make another heroic save. Meant the game was 2-2 at Villa Park and 5-3 on aggregate. A classic case of the PSG defenders didn't want to close down the space. They were willing to allow John McGinn to take the shot on, and boy did he take it on. A real powerful placed effort into the top corner there. And again, this crowd lifted even further after that point in time. You think about it, when I was in the game, I was feeling like, okay, this is a big moment. You have to pounce on this dominance right now. You've got the crowd behind you. PSG look a little bit nervy right now, and they're not defending with that same intensity, and they're not winning the ball back with the same speed as they were at the Parc des Princes. Marcus Rashford then with an absolutely stereotypical Marcus Rashford run. I've seen it so many times now. When he jinks inside in the 57th minute, the right-footed shot looked to be destined for the far corner, but Donnarumma pulled out one of the saves of his life to keep the game at 2-2, full stretch, and he got up and celebrated that save like he had scored a goal himself, and it was a massive moment. But Villa kept knocking on the door. 58th minute, Marcus Rashford again doing his best work. A little nutmeg, then dropped the shoulder on another defender to skip past two PSG defenders, cutting the ball back to Enzo Konsa out of all people to the box, and he coolly stroked the ball home in the back of the net to make the game 3-2 and send Villa Park into absolute pandemonium. 5-4 at that point in time in aggregate, 30 minutes to play. And this is when I definitely thought that it was all over for PSG. Aston Villa had all the momentum. They were attacking with force. John McGinn and Marcus Rashford are having a field day. They would be replaced in the next few minutes. But it seemed like Aston Villa were winning those battles. They were winning those duels. They were playing at 110%, PSG at 90%. And that 20% difference was telling in the second half. They were taking chances. They're looking relentless and ruthless in the final third. And it just looked like PSG were a bit standoffish. And the worst thing you can do in a second leg away from home is be standoffish. I think it's a big thing in the Champions League. Teams go into their shell a little bit too much, and all of a sudden the home team gets momentum. They get control. They can make these great turnarounds, like remontadas, like they call it in Spain. And it just felt like it was a massive moment here for PSG just to try and regain some sort of control. It was a ridiculous save from Donnarumma just after that moment in time. Yuri Tillemans had a header after Marquinhos failed to deal with the Rashford ball into the box. But a ridiculous clawing save back with his right hand to keep it out the back of the net. And then Marco Asensio, probably the chance of the game after those initial goals. 1-1 with Donnarumma against his former side there. He was probably thinking about that moment and grasping it. His new side, he's joined on loan to beat your former side. It'd be a perfect moment. A 1-1 with Donnarumma, but somehow again, the Italian was there, made himself big coming off his line to make the massive save in the 70th minute mark. That would be probably Villa's biggest chance until right at the end. Emi Martinez had to make a couple saves in and around the 70th minute to deny Ousmane Dembele on the counter-attack as Villa committed so many numbers forward. I think it was 2-on-4 at one point for PSG going forward in the break. And the biggest one probably fell to Desiree Doué. Just towards the 80th minute, Ian Maatsen was beaten. Martinez came off his line and made another fantastic save. These keepers going save for save in the late moments of this game here. And then the moment that's going to be memed, I guess, forevermore, Unai Emery fell to his knees as Pacho made a ridiculous block to deny Ian Maatsen of his moment in this game here. Around 30 seconds left in stoppage time after Villa had struggled to win the ball back from PSG. They had it around the corner flag. They finally got the ball forward. It was a ball that fell out to Ian Maatsen running onto an effort just inside the box. Struck the volley so purely and sweetly. It looked like it was destined to curl in off the post in the far corner. But Pacho sticking out a left leg, took a nick off his thigh and kept it out of finding the back of the net, making sure PSG would eventually go through 5-4 on aggregate, losing on the night 3-2. But as I keep saying, the job was done in the first leg. You think all the way back to Nuno Mendes' goal later in that game, that was the decisive moment. There was realistically only a goal between these two sides over 180 minutes, and that goal only came in that game there at the Parc des Princes by Nuno Mendes, who had a fantastic two legs. I think the two wing-backs had a fantastic both legs. They were superb. Marquinhos came in this game here and made a massive difference. The skipper at the back. I think the five midfielders from Unai Emery, that tactical play was superb. I think by adding more legs in there, adding more energy, a physical presence like Onana that can run up and down the pitch, it really offset which PSG do well. That midfield trio is very, very workmanlike. They're very, very skilled. But they got outdone by just being overnumbered. 5 midfielders versus 3. You know the result's going to go in the Aston Villa favour. But I think what PSG did, which was very, very impressive, and what Luis Enrique, I was actually quite happy with, they went there to attack. And when they had the opportunity to counter-attack, they took their chances, and boy, were they clinical. Those opening 2 goals, in the first half an hour to get both of those in the back of the net. They had a few other chances outside of that, but it really felt like those were the 2 big chances. You took both of them, both coming from your fullbacks. That is the optimal way to treat an away day after taking a lead in the first leg. They didn't have any right to go and score those opening few goals. They could have sat in, been boring, be defensive. But like I keep saying, second legs, when teams go into their shell, it's not a good sign. We've seen Barcelona do comebacks. We've seen Real Madrid do comebacks in this competition where teams sit in against them and be too pragmatic. The momentum, the flow of the game, eventually it breaks down that wall you put up. That wall you put up can last 70, 80 minutes, but all it takes is a few minutes. You saw Aston Villa 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes to swing this game around, to get the crowd involved. And if it wasn't for for Donnarumma making some ridiculous saves, it could have been PSG out in this game here. I'll start with him. He was fabulous in this game here. 5 saves, preventing 0.5 goals in this game here. 6 accurate long balls. but the stats don't really show up what his impact in this game was. It was once again Donnarumma coming up big in a big game. That chance for me, the Marco Asensio chance, I don't think he took it too well. I think it too much of a heavier late touch, but still 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, 20 minutes to play. They score that, they probably run away with it and they win it in regulation time. But to make that save at that moment in time when your team's back's against the wall, when you're struggling to get a real grip of this game and a stronger hold of the game, for your keeper to turn up and become big yet again, going back to that round of 16 tie versus Liverpool, making those saves in the penalty shootout, it's just ridiculous what Donnarumma consistently does on the big stages. A fantastic performance of him, and once again showing that he is a big-time player for a big-time side. And you got to take a Achraf Hakimi as well. 7.7 match rating, a goal, 2 clearances, 2 tackles, an interception, won 7 out of 11 ground duels. He was such a presence on the pitch there. 87 touches, a key pass as well, 93% pass accuracy. Him and Nuno Mendes across the 2 legs are probably the difference. I think the 2 fullbacks for Aston Villa were much better in this second leg, but they were outplayed in the first leg, and in the second leg, well, those 2 end up being the difference makers. They scored the goals in this second leg that made sure PSG didn't get knocked out of the competition. And to take that chance and to follow up as well, the instincts of Hakimi to get in that area, to get in the end of that parried save for Martinez has to be applauded. This is a full back that's in the position on the D, outside the box, to go finish that chance off. That's willingness to commit numbers forward. That's also props to Luis Enrique for giving faith to his side to go and attack, to commit numbers forward, to get the ends of balls into the area. And that's just a fantastic goal at a massive moment in time to give the side, that settler, that 1-goal lead. He had a fantastic game. Looking though at Aston Villa, did they win this game and not the tie? However, Marcus Rashford, maybe a bit of a soft spot as a United player, but this looked like Marcus Rashford back to his best. It was the flip-flops, it was dropping the shoulder, it was nutmegs, it was running in behind, it was him drifting all around that front line there. He had the freedom of the whole front of the pitch. No winger employed by Aston Villa. Another prop to Unai Emery's and another feather in his cap by playing those 5 midfielders. It allowed Marcus Rashford to just to roam up top, and that's when it becomes dangerous, because if Hakimi or Nuno Mendes commits too high up the pitch, or their centre-back gives away possession, Marcus Rashford has an avenue to run in behind. And Marcus Rashford running in behind against Paris Saint-Germain as well, that's the ultimate duo for any side. He was fabulous yet again. 7.9 match rating, got the assist, 4 to 9 successful dribbles, 43 touches, 4 key passes. That's so many half chances and opportunities that weren't taken by his teammates. 6 out of 9 successful crosses in this game here. He was putting great balls into the box on corners as well. 2 big chances created, won 5 out of 10 ground duels. He worked his socks off in this game here. And I still am questioning whether it was the right decision to take him off. I know the legs were starting to go, but Marcus Rashford later on in games against PSG, 2 strikers up top, I think that would have been the better way to go and finish this game off. But I can't be critical of Unai Emery. His side and his tactics were fantastic in the second leg here. And again, I keep saying, if it wasn't for that Nuno Mendes goal in that first leg, we're talking about extra time, penalty shootouts in particular, at home. You back in Aston Villa in that situation there. But all in all, fantastic for Marcus Rashford in the minutes he was on the pitch. And similar to this man here, John McGinn, probably the player of the game for me. 7.8 match rating, a goal, an assist, 40 touches, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, won 3 to 8 ground duels. But again, another player that the stats don't really show his impact in the game. He was everywhere, making challenges, pressing high up the pitch, driving the ball forward. A massive goal at a massive moment after half-time to instill belief, get the energy going at Villa Park, get the momentum behind the side. Talk about timely goals, that was it. You come into half-time with 1 goal with Yuri Tielemans, but you're still trailing 2 goals to 1 on the night. There's something about looking up on the scoreboard and seeing your side level with 30-odd minutes to play at home. No matter what the aggregate score is, you're in this game, fight for this game, and you fight for the tie and the result. And I think the goal he scored, the way he scored at the moment, the captain's armband, it was just a massive moment for a massive player of such importance to Aston Villa, and he took it so well. It was a fantastic goal. And as I said, he was everywhere, pressing hard up the pitch, involved in build-up play. Him and Yuri Tielemans in the first half are running rings around that PSG midfield. And the work he does as that wide midfielder, on paper, it looks like a left midfielder, but he sort of works on that channel there on the left-hand side, linking up with Marcus Rashford, stretching the PSG midfield. He just filled that role to perfection. We've seen him play it a lot of times under Unai Emery as that left attacking midfielder, left-sided central midfielder. He's so good there because he's got so many tools to his trade. He might not be the quickest, but he's strong. He might not be the best dribbler, but you don't really dispossess him off the football. He's got a great eye for a pass. He takes the pass on and often completes the pass. And in this game here, he was the ultimate player for Aston Villa for the situation that they needed him. And again, another player that got pulled off. I know fatigue plays a role in this game, but I would love to see him late on in that game there, continue to try and stretch back lines with his passing, with his physicality, the ability to hold the ball up. I think he put together a man-of-the-match performance in this game here, and was just unlucky his side couldn't get over the line again because he was inspirational, moving, a leader in this game, and really made the difference for me. A fantastic performance from John McGinn nonetheless, despite his side losing. But that means that PSG book their ticket into the semi-final. I think the commentator said 4 times in the last 6 years they've got to the semi-final stage. So this is progress. They got to the final in 2021. Can they get back there again? That is the big task for this side here because you've got the names, you've got the players now that are getting respect. Luis Enrique, he's had a lot of great achievements in his career, but this one might be the biggest. With a younger side, Bradley Barcola starts this game. There's Doué up top, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele. Their dangerous front four, the speed, the dynamism, the direction, and the way they get at back lines. You've got that midfield trio that, outside of last night's game, have been fantastic in the Champions League. You've got Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, who were superb in these 2 legs. I'll tell you what, Marquinhos coming back in this game here, made a few half errors and mistakes, but all in all, coming into this second leg, a skipper away from home, did a fantastic job with important blocks and covering off defensively in important moments. The fearlessness on this side, the conviction of them when they go forward, it's very, very exciting to see. And I tell you what, we're in store for a massive semi-final, whether it be Real Madrid, whether it be Arsenal. I tell you what, it's going to be a blockbuster semi-final because whoever they play will probably come in as underdogs with how well PSG have played their football this season domestically and as well in European football. They're going to go in now as a favourite again in a semi-final tie. And we'll learn a lot about this side then. Can they manage key moments? Can they hold their bottle like they did here versus Aston Villa and not concede 3 or 4 in a row? Just concede 2, hold on, keep momentum, big saves and big moments, big fouls won and big moments, keeping the ball in the corner flag. They were doing a few things very, very well in this game here, despite not playing their best football. That gives me belief they can go all the way this season. But all that means nothing if you can't do that in a semi-final tie. So massive, massive props for them in this quarter-final tie and what they did in the round of 16. But real teams, sharp and big-time moments. Real Madrid do it, Barcelona do it, Man City did it a few years ago. Can this side do it on the biggest stage, a semi-final, first leg, second leg, holding on against some of the best sides in Europe? I'll tell you what, as I said, they'll probably come in as favourites, so all the pressure is on them. If they can get this done with all the pressure on them, I have faith they can go all the way this season. But it was an absolutely fantastic Champions League quarter-final, second leg night. Again, this is why I love this sort of stage of the Champions League. Quarter-finals and semi-finals, there's drama, there's back and forth. Aston Villa had their moments, so did PSG. And across the 180 minutes, I tell you what, in terms of chances and moments, it was pretty much even throughout. Each team had their moments, each team had their control of the game, each team had their superstars. At the end of it, all it was decided by was one single goal, and PSG earned that. So fantastic for them. They'll book a spot in the semi-final. Aston Villa can hold their head high though. It was a tough way to go out, but they played so well, they competed so well, and they're deserving of all the props they'll get in the media because Unai Emery and his side, I think they'll be back next season and looking for more. They're coming into some good form towards the back end of the Premier League season here. All you got to do is get into that top 5 position. Once you get there, you've got it locked in for next season. You go again. You continue to build this squad. And there's a few faces in this side here that I think will be ready for some vengeance next season in the Champions League. Nonetheless, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Do you think PSG deserved it? Do you think Aston Villa deserved the comeback? Would you have loved to see 30 more minutes? Because I would have loved to see 30 more minutes last night between these two great sides. PSG into the semi-finals. Massive props to them. If you enjoyed the video, guys, smash a like and subscribe to the Players Zone channel for videos and content here in the channel like this, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload more videos, podcasts, reaction content, prediction content here on the channel. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day. Enjoy tonight's more entertainment from the Champions League. And I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. So next time, guys, see you later.